quiet, mist-wrapped village hidden among the pines and shadows of the northern highlands, there lived a girl named Irene Thorne. The village, called Elderwood, was the kind of place where time seemed to pause, where cobbled roads curved beneath mossy roofs and every house smelled faintly of wood smoke and rain. The people were simple, superstitious folk who believed in omens and avoided the woods after sunset. But Irene, she was different. From the moment she could walk, she wandered. She'd stray into the edges of the forest with her sketchbook, listening to bird song and tracing the outlines of animal tracks in the mud. She had eyes like storm clouds, gray, shifting, and intense. The other children whispered that she was strange, that she talked to shadows and dreamed with her eyes open. But Irene didn't mind. She had her grandmother, Elspeth, who understood the quiet things of the world. Elspeth Thorne was the village's healer. People came to her for tinctures and poultices, but also for guidance they wouldn't admit to needing. She was tall and silver-haired, with a voice like rustling leaves and a look that seemed to see straight through you. They called her a witch behind her back. Irene just called her Gran. As Irene grew, Elspeth began teaching her about herbs, stars, and stories. The old kind, the kind that came before kings and gods. Every family carries a thread of the world's ancient design, Elspeth would say. Ours is wilder than most. At 13, Irene felt it, something stirring inside her. When the wind blew through the trees, her chest ached with a strange longing. She began hearing things others didn't, the flap of wings in the dead of night, the howl of distant wolves long before any echo reached the village. On the eve of her 13th birthday, Elspeth came to her room with a cup of steaming tea that glowed with a soft blue hue. "It's time," Elspeth said. "For what?" Irene asked, heart fluttering. "To wake the part of you that's been sleeping?" Irene drank the tea. It was bitter, then sweet, then nothing like swallowing moonlight. Moments later, her bones ached. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. Her vision blurred. The mirror on her wall reflected golden, glowing eyes. She gasped. The world tilted. She ran. She didn't remember leaving the house. She didn't remember shedding her clothes or sprinting barefoot into the night. All she knew was the wind, the scent of deer on the breeze, the feeling of earth beneath claws that weren't human. She was running, not with legs, but on all fours. Her body was no longer hers. It was something bigger, older. The stars shimmered above her. The forest greeted her like an old friend. When she woke, dawn was painting the sky in soft oranges. She lay curled in the grass, naked, trembling, covered in dew and leaves. Elspeth stood nearby, cloaked and calm. "You've met her," she said. "The wolf within." Irene stared at her hands, which had claws not hours ago. What am I?" Elspeth knelt beside her. "You are Lunari, born of a bloodline tied to the first wolf, a guardian of balance between man and beast, bound to the moon's pull. The wolf inside is not a monster, Irene. It's your truest self." Elspeth began to train her. There was a secret glade deep in the woods, where ancient stones circled a tree older than the village itself. It was there Irene learned to control her transformation, to feel the change coming and let it wash over her like a tide rather than crash like a storm. She learned that every Lunari had a different kind of wolf, some tall and white like winter winds, others dark and fast like shadows. Irene's wolf was silver, streaked with black, strong, silent, watchful. Elspeth told her of their ancestors, men and women who once roamed freely as wolves and walked among humans as protectors and guides. But when mankind grew fearful of the wild, the Lunari were hunted, forgotten, turned into myths and bedtime warnings. "You are perhaps the last in Elderwood," Elspeth whispered, "or the first to rise again. But power comes with peril. One afternoon, Irene wandered near the river, where a group of older children were playing. One of them, a boy named Mikkel, had always bullied her. He noticed her golden eyes. "Look at her," he sneered. "Eyes like a beast." They began to circle her. Irene's heart raced. Her body trembled. The air grew hot. Her nails began to elongate. "No," she whispered, squeezing her eyes shut. "Not here. Not now." A growl escaped her throat. The boys fell silent and stepped back. Then they ran. Irene didn't shift that day, but it was the closest she had come to losing control in daylight. She cried when she returned to Elsbeth. "I don't want to be feared," she said. Elsbeth hugged her tightly. "Then show them a reason not to be." Weeks passed, seasons shifted. Irene began to thrive, both in her human form and her wolf one. She would run with the owls and foxes, drink from the moonlit lake, and speak with the forest spirits that only the Lunari could sense. One night, a terrible storm crashed into Elderwood. The river swelled, trees cracked like bones. Lightning struck the village square, setting a barn ablaze. In the chaos, several children went missing. The villagers panicked. "They were last seen near the forest," someone cried. Irene didn't hesitate. She raced into the woods alone. She followed the scent, mud, smoke, fear. Her wolf senses guided her. In the distance, she heard faint cries. She transformed mid-run, silver fur bursting through her skin, her limbs elongating into a graceful, powerful beast. She found them, 2 boys huddled at the base of a tree, surrounded by rising water. One was Mikkel. He saw her. His eyes widened in terror, but Irene did not growl. She did not attack. She lay down beside them and nudged their shoulders gently, urging them to climb onto her back. The trip back was hard. Her paws bled on sharp rocks. The rain blinded her, but she pushed on, every muscle burning, until they reached the edge of the village. There the people saw her, the wolf, carrying the boys safely in her jaws like a mother would her pups. She set them down gently and stepped back into the shadows. The next morning, the villagers gathered at Elsbeth's door. They did not come with torches or pitchforks. They came with offerings, herbs, bread, and apologies. Mikkel stepped forward. "She saved us," he said. "She's not a monster. She's something else." From that day on, the people began to tell new stories. They spoke of the silver wolf of Elderwood, a protector of the lost, a guardian of the forest. Some claimed to see her on full moon nights, watching silently from the trees. Others said she visited the sick and whispered healing into their dreams. And Irene, no longer afraid, embraced both halves of herself. She still sat beneath the ancient ash tree, sketchbook in hand, a soft smile on her lips. But now children joined her. They listened to her stories. They picked herbs with her. They waited to see her eyes glow gold in the moonlight, because Irene Thorn was no longer just the strange girl. She was the bridge between worlds. The wolf within had awakened, and she had become whole.